I could do what I do today. I could stand here and confidently and tell that Malays have to compete with Chinese, Indian, everyone else. That Malays must be confident that we cannot have race consideration anymore in society, because I had the privilege of having a good education, my friend. A good education empowers you. A good education makes you confident. A good education allows you to think and allows you to reason so that you come to a sensible conclusion, not to become a bigot like those people in UMNO Barisan Nasional. So I tell my friends, all Malay friends, I have a lot of non-Malays who came to me and say, how come you say all this? Aren't you not afraid? Aren't you not afraid being bandit, as traitor, orang marah, kata pengkhianat, ungrateful? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a good education, we have our moral authority and intellectual authority to reason and to convince everyone that non-racial Malaysia is the new Malaysia for everyone. Sebab itu, in everything that we want to do, the number one priority must be education. Pakatan Rakyat undertakes and promises to all of you, we will do our level best to fix the school. Because you fix the school, you will fix the society. Inshallah. And we must allow every single Malaysian, regardless of the background or race, we must allow every single Malaysian who is qualified academically, who deserves to be helped, to get the best education free of charge with free of charge kan? Sometimes I forgot. Free of charge, and government shall give scholarship on top of that. Sebab itu, walaupun ada pihak yang tidak bersetuju dengan pendidikan percuma yang ditawarkan oleh Pakatan Rakyat, and I have to admit there are honest and genuine criticisms against it. I admit that. But the responsibility of government is to look after the most vulnerable group in our society, and my old friend Irene can tell that. It is the job of government not to look after for the richest, for the upper class, but our policy must make sure there is not a single poor Malay, Indian, Chinese, Iban, Kadazan that is left behind from our education. Because of that, we have to implement and give free education. And Malaysia is a rich country. 20 years from now, we shall not have our oil and gas. Bala, Taib Mahmud dengan Musa Aman sudah sapu semua botak macam rambut saya. What else left? In 20 years' time, the fate of this country shall rest on the young ones, on our children. Because if we make sure that they are creative people, they are honest people, they are hardworking, they will grow the economy and they will make sure this country is prosperous for all of us, inshallah. That's why I know it is controversial, but we will abolish PTPTN with the provision that we shall ensure those in private education shall have a transition period and a temporary fund so that you could continue with your education while we make sure that government improve the quality of higher education in this country, that in the end you will get for free of charge, inshallah. We shall make sure every Malaysian, if you are qualified, you will get a free education and a 5,000 ringgit stipend on top of that, so that you don't have to borrow to pay for your living costs while you are in university. UMNO Barisan Nasional say bankrupt. Okay, I want to, last kali, being an accountant, I must present some numbers to you. At least you got a bit convinced that it is doable, it can be done. UMNO says, if we abolish university fees for all our government universities, it will bankrupt the country. Now, the calculation is very simple. Everyone who knows maths knows this. Unfortunately, UMNO ministers don't understand maths. That's why they can't calculate. Okay. How do you estimate how much it will cost the government to implement free education, meaning that we abolish school fees in all public universities? You have to know how many students there are now in public universities. There are 465,000 students in 22 public universities now. And then you have to know how much on average it costs per year that they pay in school fees, in university fees every year. On average, there is 1,700 ringgit. So actually the cost that government has to bear, if you want to start with abolishing school fees in universities, in government universities, is only 465,000 times 1,700, which comes to only 791 million. That's why Pakatan Rakyat has said, if we put aside 1 billion ringgit, about 800 million will go to abolish university fees in government universities. The other 200 you could put into a fund to give bursaries to subsidize those students who are currently in selected and good IPTS, private universities. Because you can't deny those in private universities some help and financial assistance if you abolish school fees for those in government universities. 1 billion ringgit only, and when you think about the unsinkable submarine who cannot sink, if we could spend 4 billion ringgit on that submarine, why can't we put aside 1 billion ringgit only to provide free education to almost 500,000 Malaysians every year? And likewise, PTPTN debt. You know, I went to Kedah about 2 months ago, and it really had an impact on me. Because I was on the way to Ceramah, I was stopped by a 21-year-old, very young, small kid, very young. And he stopped and he gave me a piece of paper. He insisted that I look at the piece of paper. I thought another Shahrizad Jalil punya paper, what? That was his PTPTN statement. He's 21 years old. His principal loan sum for doing a diploma in nursing at one of the private colleges, his principal sum he owed to PTPTN was 60,000 ringgit. Plus interest and service charge, another 21,000 ringgit. He is only 21 years old and unemployed. He is already in debt of 81,000 ringgit. That is the fate of hundreds of thousands of young Malaysians across the country. If he pays 200 ringgit every month, as PTPTN demanded, he will fully settle the whole debt when he reaches his 53rd birthday.
Ayo.
Itu pun kalau dia tidak mati umur 50 tahun. Otherwise he will bring the debt to his grave. So you can imagine, these people, you know, our young sisters, our young kids, at 21 years old they already have 81,000 debts. When they raise a family, 20 years from now, they will still be paying their education debt plus their children's education debt. Because 10 years from now, education is going to be more expensive if we don't resolve the fact that education is privatized now to the most of Malaysians. If now is 60,000 for 1 degree, in 10 years time it's going to be 100,000 for 1 degree. If you have 3 children, you have to pay for your PTPTN and you have to take loan for 300,000 ringgit for your 3 children. It's okay for, I suppose, people in Klang Valley and people who have steady job. But what would happen to people of my background? What would happen to people of the poor in Sabah and Sarawak? Because even if they are smartest of the smartest, between the choice of taking and being in debt of 100,000 ringgit for the rest of their life and making that simple choice to quit school and to go and look for a job, I tell you, my friends, they will quit school and they will go for a job. And if we don't resolve this, at the end of the day, we will end up with a big disparity and unfairness in our society. Only the rich and the haves have the right to go for education. The poor will be denied because they can't afford private education. Because of that, it is our promise, we shall make fixing the education as the number one priority for a Pakatan Rakyat government. And we shall ensure and endeavor that our education system 10 years from now is a fair education system that does not discriminate anyone. We only discriminate you if you are malas. If you are rajin, if you are smart, no matter who you are, where you come from, you will get the scholarship. You will have the right to be as equally as good as anyone else. Because when I first went to my boarding school, about 20 years ago, I was among the poorest, I was inferior. But because the school allowed us to compete on your merit, 5 years later, I think I was a lot more confident than all those who come from the towns and much wealthier family. So that's why if we want to liberate the family, if we want to liberate our society, we must liberate our education from the mediocrity of UMNO Barisan Nasional that has plagued our education for the last 55 years. I think I've spoken for a bit too long. Okay, so I have to stop here. I'm very sure